Hello. Now that we've got the picozero library installed, I can begin to show you just how much easier it's going to be for us to write code using this beginner's library. What I did after the last video was that I finished connecting buttons 2, 3 and 4 in the code, and I told my Pico that they were plugged into pins 11, 12 and 13. So that meant that then I could replicate the code, and you can see I've got my loop here has been expanded. My little while loop is now showing that whichever button is pressed, if the value is 1, that means it's been pushed down to make a logical 1, then the corresponding LED is switched on, and once the button is released, then it is switched off. So that's just very much a matter of copying and pasting for each one and just changing the numbers in the variables so they match up. So there's button 2 and LED 2. Here's button 3 and LED 3. And here's button 4 and LED 4. So now if I run this code and I press button 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, I'm to 3, there we go, there's 3, didn't press the button properly. And now I can press multiple buttons. Depending on how many fingers I've got going at the time, I can press all of the buttons and they're all working. So there we go. So that was as far as we're going to get with this machine library. So now what we're going to do is we are going to switch over to using the picozero library. So create a new file. And what we're going to do, oh look, can you see my little LED is on? I'm just going to reset that. I've still got my reset program, which I always have in the background really, so that just helps me to reset everything. We will make a new version of that too. So now I'm going to come to a new file and I'm going to start by importing something from the picozero library this time, not the machine library, the picozero library. I'm going to import something called pico_LED. Now make sure that is an underscore and not just a hyphen. So then I can say pico_LED.on. Let's run that code. Let's see what happens. There we go. Can you see my little Pico LED? This is the onboard one. This is the built-in pin 25. It's just called the Pico LED. Isn't that perfect? So now if at any point I want that little LED that is on the Pico itself to be lit up, I can just say Pico LED on, please. And there we go. Let's just switch that off. That's what it's going to look like. Oh, I'm going to switch it off there. Okay, so that is the first thing. Brilliant. But now the other LEDs, they need something different. So where I am importing, I can import more than one thing at a time. And as long as I separate the list with commas, this first line, I can import quite a few different functions from my library here. So maybe I'll just switch that off for now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my Pico, oh, by the way, LED 1 is plugged into pin 21. This is what it's going to look like. LED 1 equals LED 21. That's all it is. The library is going to give the Pico the relevant information. If I've got an LED connected, that means it is an input, and I'm going to treat it like that. When we learn a little bit more about the way that this library works, we're actually going to introduce a digital LED, but we'll come to that in a bit. So I can now do the same for all of my LEDs. Oops. There we go. There we are. So that's what it looks like. So I haven't needed to describe the LED as an input pin because this library knows jolly well what it is. That's great. Now for the buttons, up here, I can import a button with a capital B. Now the capitalization is important. So here where I've got a capital L, capital E, capital D, that is important. It won't work if it's lowercase. And so that's what you need to use here. This is saying it's the same as what I've set up here. Okay, these are the variable names. You can call them whatever you like. Okay, so we could have Bob, Jim, Fred, and Sally if we wanted to down here, but for now we're going to use these variable names, which are going to help us remember what's going on. So here I just need to put in my buttons. Okay, so I have started on button 1, and it's a little bit more, so I'm just going to copy and paste, and then I had 10, 11, 12, 13 for buttons 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I think you'll agree that that looks quite nice, doesn't it? It's very clear, not only from the variable names, but also from the way that we've defined them, that you can see exactly what each of these things is about. Great. So now we'll be able to use the functionality built in to this library. And I will show you the website where you can see all of this functionality. Okay, here it is. This is a great website for you to look up what to do. This is called picozero.readthedocs.io, and if you click on the Getting Started page, it will take you through some of the things that you need to do to set up the picozero library. In my extra video, hopefully I've gone through that for you, but there might be a few things in there that if you've not found that easy to do, there'll be some things to help you in there. If you click on recipes, then there are lots of explanations of how we control a lot of the different devices that if you've had a little rummage around your kit that I've sent you, you will notice that we have got a lot of these included in the kit that you have got. So you'll be able to use this reference web page to see exactly what you need to do if you're stuck on my videos. So here's an example. Look, from picozero, we're going to import pico_LED, comma, and the LED. So now we can use both of them, and they've switched the pico LED on here, and they've connected an LED into pin number 14, and they've switched that one on. So there's some nice little pictures on here, and if ever you get stuck or you want to find out what else this library can do, this is the place to come. The page that you're looking at, it doesn't know anything about the breadboard that we're using. So this particular breadboard and its little peculiarities are going to be something which that library doesn't know about. So we're going to carry on learning how this breadboard kit works so that we can connect our all of our code, and we can run things with these buttons and the buzzers that we've got here. Okay, closing that down. Right, so let's come back to where we were creating our code, and in this file here, which you can see I haven't saved. I do need to save that. If you remember how to do that, as soon as you've created something more than a few lines, we need to think about saving that to the Pico. So I'm going to call that video. This is one of our picozeros. I'm going to give it a PZ name, and how about set it all up in here. So this is now giving us what we need to then translate our button press code into something which looks a little bit more user-friendly. So let's come back to the project that we used earlier, where we were using a button to make the LED come on. So what I've done is I've come back to the previous code that we were using from the machine library, and if we run this code, you'll see what was happening. Here we go. I'm going to run that code, and now when I press down button 1, the LED one is coming on. Okay, and I've just got the simple version here, just with button 1 and LED 1. So if I'm pressing it, the LED is on, and as soon as I release the button, the LED switches off. So that was the code, and if you remember, we were in this little while loop which was just going round and round and round. Let's see if we can create a similar thing then in our new bit of code. So let's see if I can get both these up. Here it is. So what you can see in the window here is the old code using the machine library, where we were using just the pin function to define both the LED and the button. And in our picozero library now, we can use I can see it's just gone off the screen, hasn't it? We can use let's just take that one out, we don't need that one right now, the button and the LED function separately to say that we've got each of these things in our code. So then what we could do is we can start a loop like we did for the other one, while true. Now let's do the same thing. Let's see if button 1 value equals 1. That's a test to see if it does equal 1. Then let's switch the LED 1 on, shall we? Because that mirrors exactly what we did before. And we'll sleep for 0.2. We'll do exactly the same thing. Else, that means otherwise, let's switch LED 1 off. Okay, so that now looks pretty much identical, doesn't it? Let's run this code and see what happens. I've run the code, but look what's happened already. Can you see? The LED has switched on. I haven't even touched the button yet. Let's press the button. The LED's gone off. Let me release it. Uh-oh. What's the difference? Well, now when I press the button, the LED switches off. And when I release it, the LED goes back on again. Now, that's not the way that the other code worked. Do you remember what it was that I mentioned earlier? Do you remember I talked about this pull-down resistor? So what's happening is that the picozero library doesn't know about this pull-down resistor. So it's picturing that the button is basically wired in the other way round. So this doesn't seem to be the right way around for us at all. When I press a button, I want a light to come on. I don't really want a light to switch off. So what we're going to do is we are going to tell the picozero library, oh yes, but by the way, our button is wired slightly differently to what you would expect. So now in quite a few functions, you're actually able to add in other bits of information as optional parameters to this function. So even though I don't need to put this in, I am actually going to insert an extra bit of information to say pull up equals false, which is a funny way of saying pull down equals true. So this is now the crucial bit of information which should help us to run this code in the way that we expect. So now I've pressed play and the LED is not lighting up. Let's press button 1. Okay, it's come on. And I release and it's gone off again. So now doesn't this appear to be a much better way for our buttons to be connected? So now we've got the button functionality back in the way that we had before. Now your challenge is to see if you can use this picozero library with the information you've got here to replicate the code that you did before. Can you make some LEDs flash? Can you make the buttons control the LEDs? Now, so far, we've just looked at the on and off commands for the LED, but let me remind you that we also had the toggle. So let's see if we can get that working. So here's a very simple example, just using the little Pico LED, that in a little loop here. If I press play, now I'm going to get my little LED just toggling at an interval of 1 second, or thereabouts. It's not actually very precise. So there is the toggle function working in the picozero library as well. Okay, so all of these functions are available for you to look up in the website that I mentioned earlier. So take a look and see what you can create with your current setup, with the connections that you've made so far. And in the next video, we're going to start plugging in something else.